So, Mr. Kokkinos, I would like to thank you for accepting our invitation and having this online interview. And my first question would be about the year 2020. It was the first year for Deputy Ministry. And I would like you to have a kind of outlook and overview of most important achievements the Deputy Ministry had during this time.
Well, as you very well know, the ministry started on March 1st at the same time with a pandemic crisis. So it was a very rough and very unusual start of our operation. Nevertheless, I think that the ministry came on time in the sense that the ministry has helped a lot in, first of all, coping with the pandemic-related challenges on the technology side. For example, within 1 week from the pandemic lockdown, we gave a platform for the processing the medical records of COVID-related inquiries. We developed a platform in 3 weeks for the social welfare for the payment of the COVID-related allowances. We've managed to create a platform for the SMS lockdown authorization, which was unique in the sense, and that has helped a lot because you can control how many times each eligible citizen was entitled to get out of his home. At the same time, I believe that our contribution as a new ministry in 9 months of operation, more or less, we kicked off a study for the artificial intelligence and blockchain, which is under implementation as we speak. The blockchain bill is nearing conclusion this month and will go to the parliament for approval, making Cyprus a blockchain-friendly jurisdiction. It has been concluded our national strategy for digital transformation, which has been carried out by PricewaterhouseCoopers. We are introducing this month, after 4 months of hard work, an interim solution for the e-justice system. In other words, the collaboration and the communication between the law firms or the lawyers with the justice systems will be only electronically. The system has been given last week to testing and is being under implementation. 1st of February will go live in production. We have, in terms of projects, teleworking, e-learning, all these things that were related to pandemic, but they are not here just for the pandemic, they are here to stay, have been introduced. And allow me to say that the pandemic in this context, it has been a blessing in the sense that it has forced our society, our system, to adopt digital type of communication and use digital technologies. It's very unfortunate to say pandemic is a blessing, but in this context, I think that everyone knows that
we can find something positive in this pandemic. At least it was a very big push for, for Cyprus to accept all these new technologies, which were waited for years.
So yeah, a lot has happened, but there is more to come.
Could you please tell us a little bit more about the projects that have been started this year and will be finished very soon? You mentioned the e-justice, which, on my opinion, is amazing for Cyprus to have only electronic communication between lawyers and courts. That's something we could not even dream of even 1 year ago.
Okay, as I said, because the e-justice is very important for our economy, we introduced the interim solution that will last for about 2 years. And in the meantime, we contracted in September this year the big project of e-justice, which will be all-inclusive. This will be given into production in 18 months since September. So let's say in 14 months from today. And this is a major reform. Also, the Department of Tax has been also contracting a new project for digital transformation of our tax department, which is including all tax, social security, income tax, VAT, customs, all these under a major project. I think the contract value is 34 million euros, has been signed and has started to be implemented. It will take 2 years of implementation. School management system has been also kicked off this year. Overall, we have 350 million euros of projects in the pipeline, which are under implementation in various stages. Some of them on procurement phase, some of them contracted and under implementation.
I see.
And of course, another approach, we need to balance, because this project will take 12, 18 months, some of them more than 2 years. So we institutionalized the concept of digital services factory. So government microservices that can be given to the citizens in a fast track approach in 2 months, in 1 month, in 3 months time, in total 116 government services, this will be given on this time frame. So it's a two-speed approach, the major projects and small government microservices, but the small government microservices have major impact in the quality of life of our citizens and our businesses, because, for example, so far, paying your social security tax as a company or as an individual, you have to go to the special office to pay. As of January, this will be given electronically only.
Okay, that's very important. And if one by one you will solve the most important issues, could you name 1 or 2 services more that will be implemented in the nearest 3, 4, 5 months?
Yeah, town planning, the application for building permits and etc. is another one. We have the student registration, another one. We have the Department of Lands and Surveys, the issuance of of property deeds can be done electronically. As I said, we need to work on a two-speed approach. Small services of high impact, high value to be given in parallel of working towards the big projects.
And I would like to ask, what challenges does Cyprus have when designing and implementing all this digital strategy? I read one of your interviews, you said that the biggest challenge is a changing of culture. What else do you observe? What are the challenges that the ministry is facing in country?
Okay. Culture is certainly the most difficult thing to cope with, and it takes much more time to deal with it. But in any digital transformation initiative, you're being faced with systems that need to be reconfigured. For example, today, we have a different approach on systems. Every government ministry or every department has its own systems installed. This needs to be revisited, and they have one big data center for all. You don't need to have so many servers and so many small infrastructures in various maintainability, and keeping up with technology is very difficult. So we're moving towards an infrastructure as a service. Instead of buying this equipment, you will be sourcing them as a service from a data center, which is under implementation. Then it's the government processes. Some of them, they need interventions at Parliament for changing the laws or the bills. And also the internal reorganization of processes in departments is another challenge. So it's systems, it is processes, sometimes it is organizational structure, but culture is the most difficult. And you need to cope with all these 4 elements, I mean, systems, processes, structures, culture, in the context of fast execution.
True.
And fast execution is extremely difficult because you need to balance out all these things. And also, as I mentioned before, is how do you create the low-hanging fruits, the short-term small government services that you can give immediately, so that the citizens enjoy and get the return of our digital transformation efforts much faster, and at the same time without losing sight of the big picture and the big projects. So these are the challenges.
I see, and I would like to speak about the future as well. So you have started you describe what you are doing now and what will happen in the nearest future, but what measures do you introduce for Cyprus IT community? I know that also you had this call for companies to provide communication services via digital solidarity platform. You also have this Horizon 2020 plans. So what do you do to motivate Cypriot companies to participate actively in this work?
Well, you are touching a very important and very strategic aspect of my ministry's effort. Our national competitiveness as an economy, as a society, our sustainability and social prosperity strongly depends on our capacity to develop and advance our posture as an international regional hub for science companies as well as high-tech companies. This is extremely important because attracting technology companies and international talent, like from countries like the audience that you are addressing, for using Cyprus as their home base, as well as for leveraging and enhancing the local talent pool is very high on our growth agenda. It is an essential component of our economic model, and as such, it encompasses the engagement and orchestration of many different stakeholders from the government and industry and academia to make Cyprus an international brand that recognized internationally as a business-friendly jurisdiction for high-tech companies and sciences companies. And in this context, we are drafting, it started 2 months ago, and we aim to finish it by the end of this month. We are drafting a strategic plan for Cyprus enhancement of its posture as a regional hub, and the execution of this strategy will definitely lead to the advancement of a new pillar of our national economy, ensuring economic sustainability and resilience and positioning Cyprus into the chart of knowledge-based economies. This strategic and disruptive shift will be supported by very specific interventions, policies and instruments in our regulatory, taxation, immigration policies, talent management and governance. And if you wish, I can give you a few examples.
I want to have more details on taxation, on immigration especially, because I care about the foreign communities that are coming here with their knowledge and their investments to help Cyprus to have its place on the map of innovations and technologies.
Okay, let me give you some examples. The institutional environment, for example, we need to do some interventions to address this. The regulatory playing field, like government taxation, both corporate and individual, and immigration policies and procedures. For example, modification, one of the things that we're examining, this is not an announcement, it is on our agenda to examine, but it's high on our agenda. It's modification for non-residence income tax for income that is below the 100K that exists today, or tax incentives for companies investing on innovative companies, and introducing the tech visa for high-tech and IT professionals, subsidy of employment cost to IT companies when establishing centers in Cyprus. This is the institutional environment, but also we need to upgrade and update obsolete procedures and legislations. For example, work permit for spouses of work permit holders, or in the business landscape, innovative entrepreneurship and transformation readiness, like creating multi-purpose spaces, bringing together entrepreneurs, researchers, and academia and industry. Human capital is very important, because the talent pool availability is a challenge, not just for Cyprus, for many countries. So upskilling programs for young professionals and recent graduates, and establishing a curriculum in universities for collaboration with IT companies. Or our education system needs to be revisited, and we invite experts that are working in Cyprus to help us fine-tune and align their knowledge needs with our academic curriculums, so that our graduates can also contribute and help them. And of course, another aspect is the research and development, as well as innovation capacities and upskilling programs for professionals. There are other things that we have in mind, like infrastructure or our banking, investment and credit environment, knowledge creation and absorption capacities and leakages. All these are part of what we are doing now.
Uh, Thank you very much for this explanation. It's answered even my two next questions I have. One was about the grants, the special invitations you would have for small and medium-sized startups. Do you have any program for those people who want to have startup? Because we had a program, it's called Startup Visa, but it didn't work well, and
Well,
it needs
yeah,
some
I
adjustments maybe.
understand. The startup visa is something different. The startup visa, you're right, it didn't work very well, not because the program was not well structured. It's primarily because it is a failure from our side, probably, or it's an area of improvement. We should advertise and promote this more aggressively. But the other program, the Innovate program, where we give to startups that operate in Cyprus, but they can be of international, but they need to be registered in Cyprus. It's 100K for new startups, and we already financed 40 of these. It's a competitive process, and it goes through cycles. It's twice a year that we announce this program. Another program is the pre-seed program, which is $500,000 for existing startups that they want to advance towards commercialization their program, and 1 million for mainstream companies, major companies that they want to invest, and they convince us that they have good proposals for new innovative products or services. So this program is called Innovate, and it is very successful.
So
It has
it's
been
based,
launched
on your
on,
practical
it
experience.
was launched in November 2018, and we keep it up.
All right. Okay. So I'm glad to hear that it's adjusted. It's based on the experience you already had with people and constant communication. I know that you meet and communicate with those who are already in Cyprus and those who are abroad, so you can adjust your strategy.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there are so many things that we can talk about, but we ran out of time apparently. Yes. But I'm glad that we had the chance to talk. I wish to you and also to your audience Merry Christmas and a 2021 that will be much better than 2020 without pandemic. And next year, Christmas, to celebrate the proper way our seasonal festivities.
Thank you very much. And we have one question on behalf of our business club. You know, a Successful Business Magazine created a business club of business owners. And we have a representative of this club today with us, Mr. Pilipenko. We decided that the club deserves one question, which will be unexpected to you. I don't know myself what Mr. Pilipenko will ask because he was listening to all this interview. So, Mr. Pilipenko, switch on your microphone and one question from the club.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Mr. Minister, thanks for your interview. You mentioned about blockchain technology and build it. So can you give more information about what, because I believe it's very important things which come in.
Okay, on our blockchain strategy, which has been approved by the Ministerial Council this year and is under implementation as we speak, there are two pillars. One is the legal framework and the other is the technical framework. In terms of legal framework, we have been commissioning a team of experts, including a professor, a law professor who deals with blockchain, who is preparing in collaboration with our local law firms, the bill that will be submitted hopefully by the end of this month to the Parliament for approval, making Cyprus one of the most advanced and rigorous, legally rigorous framework, so that we are an attractive jurisdiction for inviting foreign investments that are based on our European and local legal framework. On the technical part, we have been working with the European Blockchain Partnership, and we announced the invitation for expression of interest by local firms to propose to the government use cases to be piloted by the government for solving problems faced by our citizens, like, for example, KYC, or use cases on the domain of certifications of academic qualifications, or certification of agricultural products, or management of immigration through certification and tracing of all these. 56 or 59 proposals have been received. They have been evaluated, and now we are at the stage to select which one of them will be piloted by the government in collaboration with the private sector. And also, I'm glad to say that one of our we also participated in I think it was a Connected Europe Facility program, where we collaborated with the University of Nicosia, which is leading the blockchain academic track. And we have been trusted to create a node for blockchain, one of the nodes of the European Union, to be hosted in Cyprus. This has been announced 5 days ago, and it will be operational next year. If you want more information about blockchain, feel free to contact me by email or by call my office, and I will put you in touch with all the key stakeholders that are in charge in my ministry.
Great, thank you very much.
I'm thankful
You're
to
welcome.
Filipenko for raising this question, because the blockchain, it will be something big, something really huge for Cyprus, and big changes for the whole community, not maybe even for Cypriot community, but for European community as well, looking at Cyprus as an example.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I really appreciate your time and this interesting interview, interesting conversation we had the chance to have.
And as I said, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and hello to Veronica Kyriakos, whose first name and last name coincides with my wife's name.
Okay, she's here listening to us.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.